The SAT reading consists of fiction, historical, and science passages, and in my opinion, fiction passages are the most difficult due to how information-packed they are, that requires you to read very, very carefully. So today I will try to go through this fiction passage and explain my answers as well as how I think while I do this. I will of course say it in English as to help me and the viewers as well build up a sense of thinking in English instead of relying on translations, because I think translations do not capture the nuances that the passage will ask you about. So now we will go into this passage. The Picton boat was due to leave at 11:30. It was a beautiful night, mild, starry. Only when they got out of the cab and started to walk down the old wharf that jutted out into the harbour, a faint wind blowing off the water ruffled under Fenella's hat, and she put up her hand to keep it on. It was dark on the old wharf, very dark. The wool sheds, the cattle trucks, the cranes standing up so high, the little squat railway engine, all seemed carved out of the solid darkness. Here and there on a rounded wood pile that was like the stalk of a huge black mushroom, there hung a lantern, but it seemed afraid to unfurl its timid, quivering light in all that blackness. It burned softly, as if for itself. Fenella's father pushed on with quick, nervous strides. Beside him, her grandma bustled along in her crackling black ulster. They went so fast that she had now and again to give an undignified little skip to keep up with them, as well as her luggage strapped into a neat sausage. Fenella carried, clasped to her grandma's umbrella, and the handle, which was a swan's head, kept giving her shoulder a sharp little peck as if it too wanted her to hurry. Men, their caps pulled down, their collars turned up, swung by. A few women, all muffled, scurried along, and one tiny boy, only his little black arms and legs showing out of a white woolly shawl, was jerked along angrily between his father and mother. He looked like a baby fly that had fallen into the cream. Then suddenly, so suddenly that Fenella and her grandma both leapt, there sounded from behind the largest wool shed that had a trail of smoke hanging over it. This boat sound. "First whistle," said her father briefly, and at that moment they came in sight of the Picton boat. Lying beside the dark wharf, all strung, all beaded with round golden lights, the Picton boat looked as if she was more ready to sail among stars than out into the cold sea. People pressed along the gangway. They first went her grandma, then her father, then Fenella. They stepped out of the way of the hurrying people, standing under a little iron stairway that led to the upper deck. They began to say goodbye. "There, mother, there's your luggage," said Fenella's father, giving grandma another strapped-up sausage. "Thank you, Frank. And you've got your cabin tickets safe?" "Yes, dear." "And your other tickets?" Grandma felt for them inside her glove and showed him the tips. "That's right." He sounded stem, but Fenella, eagerly watching him, saw that he looked tired and sad. The boat sounds again. The second whistle blared above their heads, and voiced like a cry shouted, "Any more for a gangway?" "You give my love to father," Fenella saw her father's lips say, and her grandma, very agitated, answered, "Of course I will, dear. Go now, you'll be left. Go now, Frank, go now." "It's all right, mother. I've got another 3 minutes." To her surprise, Fenella saw her father take off his hat. He clasped Grandma in his arms and pressed her to him. "God bless you, Mother," she heard him say. And Grandma put her hand, with the black thread glove that was worn through on her ring finger, against his cheek, and she sobbed, "God bless you, my own brave son." This was so awful that Fenella quickly turned her head back on them, swallowed once, twice, and frowned terribly at the little green star on the masthead. But she had to turn round again. Her father was going. "Goodbye, Fenella. Be a good girl." His cold, wet mustache brushed her cheek, but Fenella caught hold of the lapels of his coat. "How long am I going to stay?" she whispered anxiously. He wouldn't look at her. He shook her off gently and gently said, "We'll see about that. Here, where's your hand?" He pressed something into her palm. "Here's a shilling in case you should need it." "A shilling? She must be going away forever." "Father," cried Fenella. But he was gone. He was last off the ship. The sailors put their shoulders to the gangway. A huge coil of dark rope went flying through the air and fell thump on the wharf. A bell rang, a whistle shrilled. Suddenly the dark wharf began to slip, to slide, to edge away from them. Now there was a rush of water between. Fenella strained to see with all her might. Was that father turning round, or waving, or standing alone, or walking off by himself? The strip of water grew broader, darker. Now the Picton boat began to swing round steady, pointing out to sea. It was no good looking any longer. Okay, so that is the passage. So we will now go to the questions, and most often they ask you to summarize the passage, which requires that you read the entirety of the passage. The reading section has more than 1 hour, divided into 5 passages, so you probably will spend, on average, 13 minutes. So I read this passage in 6 minutes, which means that we should be able to read the passage in 4 minutes, and we have 9 minutes to answer the multiple choice questions. Now first, which choice best summarizes the passage? A. A girl and her family brace for a long voyage overseas. B. A girl and her family exchange goodbyes and experience and emotional departure. C. A girl and her family adjust to a new living situation and resign themselves to an unclear future. And D. A girl and her family reflect on their changing relationships and settle into their new roles. Now we do not look for the right answer first. We eliminate the wrong answers first, not finding the right one. So, what answer is obviously wrong? A girl and her family brace for a long voyage overseas. So, this mentions a girl and her family and the voyage. That they said here, the voyage. But is it correct though? A girl and her family brace for a long voyage. This implies that she is going with her family, but that is obviously not true. If we see here, a shilling, she must be going away forever. And this last passage implies that Fenella's father stayed. He separated. So A is obviously wrong. And we look at D. Reflect on their changing relationships and settle in their real new roles. The whole passage does not mention changing relationships. So D is obviously out. A girl and her family adjust to a new living situation. This is illogical because this is the harbor and living situations simply do not occur. So we're left with B, and we know that B is correct because it is the only answer left. So B is the right answer here. Over the course of the passage, the main focus shifts from... Now, eliminate the wrong answers. A family's protracted farewell to a description of a ship's sailor. The main idea is about Fenella's family, not the sailors, so B is obviously out. An exchange of money between family members. This is obviously wrong. A vivid illustration may look very correct because of the long descriptions in the first paragraph. And a sense of resignation one character experiences. Now, this may be correct, but we need to look at A nighttime departure to the devastating emotional impact of a family's separation. A and D looks very similar, right? But a ship's nighttime departure, they obviously do not describe nighttime departure. They simply describe the harbor and then the departure, right? If this A is like a trap answer, you see this devastating emotional impact, right? And you think that, yeah, this girl is really sad that her father's going away, but they do not explicitly mention it, or you might infer it. Strange to see with all her might, and this. She was like seeing him, and so most of us may think that, yeah, that's a devastating emotional impact. But that's our opinion. D is the best answer here because it a vivid illustration. It's correct, the first paragraph, and a sense of resignation, right? If we look at this again, it was no good looking any longer. She tried to find her father, but he wasn't there. He simply is not there, and there was nothing to look at. This is resignation, and so D is the correct answer. Do not fall for their traps. Remember, read carefully. The author includes a lengthy description of the old wharf. So, emphasize how the wharf at night creates an unsettling ambience. This is not a horror story. D is wrong. Establish a sense of hurried atmosphere. This is not tense. This is not a thriller. C is wrong. A vivid visual backdrop that underscored the importance of what is left behind. Now this seems very correct, right? The visual complement the event, but the importance of what is left behind. The passage focuses on the separation, not the character. So B is wrong. A is correct by elimination. Sorry. A is the correct answer. What main effects do the word timid and quivering used in the first paragraph have on the tone of the passage? They create an ominous tone that foreshadows Fenella's separation from her father. Well, this looks very good. We will leave that here. They create a solemn tone that contrasts with Fenella's emotions about leaving. Emotions, that is what the passage is trying to say. We will leave it there. A solemn tone which fits. They create an uncertain tone that reflects relationships. This is wrong, obviously. They create a sinister tone. This is also wrong, so we are left with A and B. Timid and quivering. If we do not see it in the answers, we look to the prompt. Timid and quivering. So timid is a kind of cowardice. We can translate it to that. Quivering. Quivering is like shaking, right? So that tells us that there is related to emotion, because timid and quiver, you do that because you're scared, you're cold, you're unsure about something, right? And A, we see they create an ominous tone, right? It's this very ambiguous tone, kind of. And that doesn't fit. We see that the character is clearly distressed or sad about separation. So B fits the best because it's solemn, like serious in a sad way. Yeah, so B is the right answer. Fenella's father looked tired and sad because he has a long journey. Wrong, obviously. Feels concerned about tickets. No. Senses something is wrong. No. C, very easy. Which statement best describe his father and grandmother? The relationship is complicated by quiet disagreements. No, that's wrong. The relationship is loving and includes tender sentiments. Could be right. Relationship is troubled. No. Restrained and based on polite affection. Now, they look some right, but if you consider it in real life, no, sorry. It's shown in the paragraph. You look here. He shook her off gently, right? Hang on, that's Vanilla, sorry. It's here. Okay. So, and you got your cabin ticket safe and your other tickets. Good luck to my father. You go, of course I will. Dear. And this simple word, I will, dear. Dear is a very endearing word, and that is not associated with polite affection. And so B is the only answer left and is therefore correct. And now we get this evidence. So we will read through these, line 25 to 27. And thank you, Frank, and you got the cabin ticket safe. Yes, dear. It contains the word dear, but we'll see. It is kind of correct. You'll get luck to my father, and of course I will, dear, go now. Well, that is also kind of correct. C 38 to 39. Take off his hat. That's irrelevant, and it's wrong. And son, line 41. And Grandma put her hand with a black thread glove on her ring finger in his cheek, and she sobbed. God bless you, my own brave son. Now, all the answers look correct, but this one is the best, and we are supposed to choose the best answer, and so D is the right because it is the best, not because the others are wrong, but simply because it is the best answer in all the good answers. Line 43, awful means, let's read. No, awful is here, he's the awful. God bless you, my own brave son. It was so awful that Fenella quickly turned her back on them, swallowed once, twice, and frowned terribly. So we see that it is not something good because she frowned terribly. If we look at the answers, disgusting, very terrible, but do you say that your father is disgusting in that context? No, B is wrong. Shocking and appalling has almost the same connotations, and so shocking, unbelievable, no, she knows that they are leaving, so C is out. Appalling, also out. A is the answer left. Distressing. What describes her attitude, right? So if we see D, it's obviously wrong because reunited implies she is already on the trip, which she is actually not. She is frightened. Maybe, but it's not mentioned. Is not mentioned in the passage. She is defiant in the face. Actually not. She is sad. And so B is the only answer left, and it also has impending separation. That confirms it. Also another evidence, we will read through these. 46, 49. Goodbye, am I going to stay? You'll see about that. Probably, maybe. Father and ship 45, 52, 53. A shilling. She must be going away forever. But he was gone. That sounds really good. Vanilla himself, 56 and 58. She looks for her father. It's no good any longer. So the last two is obviously wrong because we see that it doesn't relate. Which choice best provide the answer of it? So it's A or B. We will now read through them again. So, if you look closely, how long am I going? Wait, is it covered? Yeah. How long am I going to stay? If you think about it, when you're small, you ask your parents, how long am I going to school for? Am I going to be separated from you? And this is exactly what she means. She is scared of separation. And, well, where's your hand? Right? This is her father giving her money. This means that she's going for a long time, but it doesn't show that she is worried about the imminent separation. She is just worried about how long she's going to stay, right? And so A is the best answer. My throat hurts. At the end of the passage, Vanilla is convinced that she will be away for a very long time because said goodbye to a big good girl. That is wrong. Exchange with the grandmother. This is wrong. Refused to answer her wrong. A is right by elimination. And there we go. 11 questions, all answered. I hope you guys have had a good time and educational time also. I'll see you.